Welcome to something a little different. Yes, it's I, young Alex in the newsroom, the producer, whatever they want to call me, on the Armstrong and Getty Show. In an effort to help you win your office pool this year and potentially save my fingers from being cut off for making predictions on the Armstrong and Getty Show, I thought I would give you my picks personally on the website. So you don't, I don't like sports, I don't want to listen to them. You can go seek them out if you do want to hear them. I think I did pretty well. I got pretty close to predicting every playoff game correct last year. Sans, I think, 2 in last year's NFL playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl. I did pick the Super Bowl wrong. I did think the Bengals broke their streak, but the Rams won, so congrats to them. As a 49er fan, it stings a little bit, but this is a new year, and there's plenty of storylines to talk about. So I won't go in-depth with every single pick here on this little podcast. I want to just give you a couple of storylines to think about when you're making your picks. For a full list of my selections, be sure to check out ArmstrongGetty.com and find my blog. But let's jump into it. Yes, the fall. The leaves dangling from the trees and falling listfully down to the ground. The cool chill in the air as you wake up in the morning to turn on pregame, and big, sweaty men making millions more than I'll ever dream of making, slamming their bodies into each other for my entertainment all Sunday long. Yes, the NFL is back, and Week 1's action starts, well, now with my predictions. The first matchup I want to kind of highlight here is, well, the first matchup of the season. It's the Thursday night special on NBC. It's the Buffalo Bills traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. And a lot of pundits online have really given this the Super Bowl preview matchup. Last year we got one. It was the Dallas Cowboys against the Tampa Bay Bucks. More on that matchup later. We got that one as our season kickoff, and granted, those teams could not face each other in the Super Bowl because they play in the same conference, but a lot of people were calling it the NFC Conference Championship preview. Well, the NFL just gave us what we desired, maybe a preview of the league's biggest game on night number 1. Josh Allen is quarterback number 1 in all fantasy football predictions, and he was an MVP candidate going into the last couple weeks last year. He leads a very strong Buffalo team that got better on defense, and he's surrounded by weapons in the receiving corps and in the running game. Meanwhile, the defending champion Los Angeles Rams bring back most of that championship-winning squad, minus 2 key subtractions on the offensive side. Andrew Whitworth, the longtime vet and 40-year-old, decided to hang it up and spend more time with his kids, which is honorable. I give him that. But Odell Beckham Jr. was a key mid-season addition for them on offense. He's still recovering from a torn ACL, which happened in last year's big game. So it's yet to be seen if he'll be signed anywhere, if he'll return to the Rams or playing football in general. So where do I see this game going? I think this is going to be an explosive game to start the season, as the NFL so desperately desires to build up hype for the season, which will inevitably feature games against 2-14 teams and some tankers, but that's neither here nor there. It's game number 1, and where do I see it? I like Buffalo coming on the road and starting a strong march to the Super Bowl, which they felt they deserved last year. I have them beating Los Angeles Rams in week number 1. Another matchup that I have highlighted, and I did highlight that I was a 49er fan, another one that I like is the 49ers and Bears, taking place 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific on Fox that first Sunday. Why do I like it? Well, besides being the Niner fan that I mentioned and being super hype about that, the 49ers will have first-year quarterback Trey Lance. Well, first year in essence. He played a little last year. They gave up a bunch of draft picks to pick him 3rd overall in last year's draft. He played twice as Jimmy Garoppolo went down injured, but starting training camp head coach Kyle Shanahan said, "We are going with Trey Lance. This is his team." They'll be taking on the Chicago Bears, who will have second-year quarterback, also drafted in the same class as Lance, Justin Fields at the helm. And Chicago has a new head coach, more offensive-minded, which a lot of fans felt hindered Fields' progress last year as a quarterback. So which way do we see this battle of first-round picks from last year going? Other than Fields, the Bears don't really have much else to speak of. A lot of the pundits have them sitting very low. The 49ers, a lot of people have in the playoffs. I have them winning this one handily on the road against the Chicago Bears. This one could be a battle between bad teams, but create a very good matchup. The Cleveland Browns will take on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. That'll happen in the same time slot as that 49er Bear game. That will be on the opposite network of CBS. Why am I highlighting 2 bad teams? Well, that's because the quarterback battle. Now, Carolina has 3 quarterbacks who have underachieved in their NFL careers, but they recently traded for Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns, going on a very light deal. It's a 1-year deal. Baker fell out of favor with Cleveland when they traded for all-pro quarterback Deshaun Watson, who sat out last year trying to generate a trade deal of his own, and I think he originally wanted to go to Miami. That fell through as Houston didn't balk at his move. They decided to trade him this offseason, but one of the reasons they didn't trade him last season was because of the sexual misconduct investigation going into him. Now that has been settled. Watson will be suspended 6 games. He will not play in this game. How do I see this one playing out? Well, revenge games are a thing. You got to think that Baker Mayfield is going to be fired up to face his old team, especially after falling out of favor with them from an unlikely source in Deshaun Watson, because nobody had Cleveland on the radar for him. How does Baker fare facing his old team? Well, I see Carolina getting this win at home against Cleveland, who misses their star quarterback. And Cleveland does have a lot of star power in the running game, but I think Carolina's running game will be just as good, and Baker will be fired up. He'll heave the ball deep to their star receivers in Carolina, and they'll take care of business. In the afternoon slot, I do like this game. The Las Vegas Raiders travel to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, formerly of San Diego, now of Los Angeles, playing second fiddle to the Rams in the same stadium. Why do I have this matchup circled? Well, last year, in the final game of the regular season, these two teams met in a thrilling matchup, I might add, that went to overtime. And the playoffs were on the line for both teams. Now, if the Raiders won, they made it in, and if the Chargers won, they made it in. But both teams could have made it in had there been a tie. Well, the Chargers tied it up late in regulation, so that game went to overtime. And the Raiders were marching down the field at the end of overtime, but weren't really looking to score. They weren't attempting to go downfield, kind of running out the clock. The Chargers head coach took a timeout to try to rally the defense, at least in his mind. And the Raiders went, oh, so you're trying to win this game. We were okay with taking the tie, both making the playoffs. But as fans rooted for the tie, and the Raiders kicked a game-winning field goal to take that one, go to the playoffs for the first time since 2015, and the Chargers' playoff drought continues. How do I see this one playing out? Tough matchup on the road for the Vegas Raiders, but maybe if you're not a big NFL fan or you forgot, the Raiders held Los Angeles for quite a while, arguably more popular than the Rams are. So you got to think there's going to be plenty of silver and black in the crowd as they take on the Chargers. The Chargers have a very good team. Quarterback Justin Herbert is an all-star quarterback, plenty of weapons around him. But the Raiders make a big splash in free agency, getting Devontae Adams from the Green Bay Packers, along with a very stout offensive group. Can the defense hold against Justin Herbert? It was close last year. I think the Chargers just narrowly edged this one out in a rematch of one of the season's best games from last year. I think this one's going to go the Chargers' favor. And the last matchup I'm highlighting, I previewed a little bit earlier, is the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Dallas Cowboys. In Dallas, Brady retired, and then he didn't. And now he's back, and he's 45 years old, starting his 23rd NFL season, which is absolutely unheard of, but a couple of key losses. His longtime compadre at tight end has decided to hang up the cleats. He's done. He's not coming back. Rob Gronkowski is finally retired. Again, kind of like Tom, except Tom came back. Either way, I digress. For the Cowboys, they're not without their own losses. Amari Cooper got shipped off to Cleveland in the offseason, so their star wide receiver is now gone. Dallas will lean heavily on C.D. Lamb in the receiving corps. They still have 2 of their strong running backs in Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard coming back, and quarterback Dak Prescott can hold his own basically against anybody in the NFL. He is a top 10 talent. The defense is where this one's going to get settled, but it is Sunday Night Football in Dallas. It's a big deal, and that's why I have the Cowboys beating Brady in his first game back to round out the week. So those are the 5 matchups that I see dominating the headlines come Tuesday morning after the week has been played out. And you'll have my full list of picks online to sort through. Congrats on winning your Office Pools picks this week. And remember, if you didn't, it's because you didn't enter my picks incorrectly. I know more about sports than you, and I know it. This is young Alex signing off. Enjoy the first weekend of NFL football, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday.